This is an introduction to Garcia Multimedia. This is my YouTube channel. Initially, it was called Prison and Street Life, and it focused on me talking with people who are currently incarcerated and kind of explaining to you what is going on in there while explaining to them how the world is out here. I've done 20 years in prison from bank robbery to drug trafficking and attempted murder and all that goofy shit. And the objective of this channel is simply to kind of present to you, the things that I worked on while I was inside and developed so when I got out, I can kind of present my work to the world. However, I got out in 2021 in March, and I had no idea that social media was this crazy. So initially, it was just about getting the books up and marketing the books. But then I began to try to understand this social media structure, and there we have tablets, but we don't have we can't really fully understand how social media plays day to day. And so initially when I got out, I was posting videos and I really didn't know. I didn't know what I was doing. I finally, based on what I seen on social media when it comes to prison and inmates, I see a lot of glorifying the penitentiary. And I didn't want to do that because the Prison Street Life podcast focuses on the prison industrial complex. So when we talk about prison, we talk about what's going on in there and how it affects inmates and how it structurally affects inmates. And then what's going on out here and how it affects ex felons, people on parole, people on probation, and just the whole judicial body. So that really was what the purpose of Prison and Street Life is. And we will continue to do that. We will expand to other prisons. Now, me as an author, I've written several books. I've written the Street Illuminati series. I have the first two books out. And I wrote a book years ago called The Sons of God, which I revamped. And then, so when I got out, my main goal was to kind of reestablish that. But I had no idea, even in that realm, how difficult it is because you have to, everything's so saturated. When I originally was doing it in 2006, when I was out, it wasn't as saturated, but we didn't have a lot of the mechanisms you have in place now, from anywhere from Grammarly to just, software that will help you structure your writing and develop characters, develop scenes. And so that's a major change from when I first got out in '03, and then I went back in '07. So I want to be able to, talk about that in my playlist or the channel, which is dealing with the writer's path. And that's basically my path as an ex felon. And as a writer, everything that encompasses that journey. And then finally, I have a clothing line, but I will talk about that from a business standpoint. But this particular channel, Garcia Multimedia, will cover all those topics and just really follow me through the journey. There's a lot of people out there who want to do more than just write or do more than just podcasts. And at the same time, I want to bring the societal element into it because um, the clothing line I have is called Street Illuminati, and it's the first of its kind in the way it's structured. I'm a social capitalist, which is a structure that I designed while I was in prison. I believe if you have a minimum wage, you should have a maximum wage. Socialism, capitalism, a social capitalist. And so that's the belief that no person in this country should make more than 24 million a year. And then I have something that runs parallel to that called social centered business and how you can institute social capitalism as a societal structure. But we will cross that bridge when we get there. My main goal is just to introduce you to this channel so you understand, if you engage in the podcast, the Prison, the Street Life podcast, I appreciate that you subscribe to that, but I have these other things that I'm doing as well, and I'm just trying to share that with as broad an audience as possible to let people know that you can do time, a significant amount of time, 20 years in my case, and you can figure a way to change your life. And in these podcasts that I'm gonna be talking from prison to street life, even the writing podcast, I want to be able to share with you guys the struggles, how when I'm developing scenes or characters, how I, bring in, they say everything's autobiographical, how I bring in, things that I've been through in my life, the things that I've done, that kind of element into the writing and to share that with you. And, you figure out how you could do the same, with things that happened in your life. So, I'm not an expert by any means. I've watched enough videos on how to do the podcast. Like, I don't have a green screen. I'm using camo and blurring out the background because this is my office and I got a lot of stuff in here. So, if you're if you're looking for like a design that's like professional, like that's not me. I'm street. I'm gritty. So everything I bring to the table is gonna be just that, but it's gonna be as honest as I can make it, so that you can understand it. So getting back to as far as the prison thing, I had to take 3 years to really study social media, and what I did see was a lot of prison, whether it be TikTok or Instagram. A lot of it is glorifying the prison structure of what you see in it, anywhere from the things that people talk about, from sexual assault to shankings. And I'm here to tell you, 20 years, what they're talking about, those are sporadic incidences. And the thing is, I can only talk about the 13 prison yards I've been on, and they can only talk about the yards they've been on. They cannot talk about prison as a whole. And so I got a little bit tired of listening to this prison glorification. You see a lot of guys taking off their shirts and showing their muscles and their tattoos, like that equates to something major in prison. It doesn't. Prison is about regret. It's about not having your family, losing your freedom. And the structure by which people get sent to prison is really corrupt. And I will explain that in a multitude of videos that I have. So I'm not here to glorify prison. I'm here to educate you. At the same time, I will talk about stuff that has happened in prison, but it's not going to be the end all be all of that topic. It's just an example, because trust me, it's a lot more violent out here than it is in there. It's just when they put the camera and they say this is what it is, how would you react? And and that, I get it, it's for clicks because people find it fascinating, whatever. You'll be listening to people in there for murder. The majority of them will be in there for murder. One of my good friends, I consider my brother, George Franklin, G. Frank, he was on death row for almost 19 years. He's been down 35 years. Rob, we call him Chop, he been down 20 years at this time. He has a 51-year sentence based on opioid use. And then I have a bunch of friends that are in there for similar crimes. And my goal is to humanize them, not to glorify their case, because everybody makes mistakes, even when it comes to homicide. So I know that might sound kind of heavy, or maybe I'm making something that's heavy to you, might seem light. But if you're trying to understand the penitentiary and the inmate structure, then you want to understand the whole thing, because I'm going to share something with you. There are people in there right now for charges, 2-3 years they have to do, for charges that are not homicide related. And these individuals may have committed homicides already. So what kind of individual do you want? I said this on other podcasts. Do you want somebody who's rehabilitated, or somebody, who is not? And this person who may have committed homicide is getting out, and you don't know that. My goal is to reach him now while he's in there, back and forth talking to individuals. And even when they get out, to help them to understand, like, life can be a whole lot more than, the box that you put yourself in. So just in regards to that, I will definitely cover that, in a very in-depth way. So anyway, I'd like to thank you for tuning in and subscribe. And I'm going to be pumping these videos out, from the writing to the prison and street life, and a TV series I'm working on too. I learned how to write 5-act structures in there. I didn't waste my time. So anyway, subscribe, and we'll be looking forward to connecting later. Peace.